Felicity, thanks very much for joining us. It would be good to get your perspectives, I suppose, in terms of the capital raising side. What are we seeing, I suppose, for 2021, and how do you see that going into 2022?
I think 2021 has continued on a lot of themes that we saw in 2020. We have a lot of capital interest still in real estate as a asset class. But what we're finding is, again, with the challenges around COVID, whilst there's been a bit of travel that's, enabled people to travel, there's still been a lot of relationships that are run through Zoom, as we are now. And I think that has caused some challenges again to the fundraising environment, particularly for new managers where they haven't had those established relationships. I think for the managers who've got established relationships, it's been a very successful fundraising year, and they've been able to really have success with those strategies. Also, I think it's very much down to the managers who have put in place strategies that are, of interest to the institutional investor base. And that has continued, again, the theme around residential, around logistics. And then we're starting to see some sectors such as care, homes coming in, continued interest in alternatives, data centres, hospitality is also starting to come back in a selective way. So yeah, it's been a positive 2021, but probably slightly bifurcated depending on what your position was going into it. I think 2022, what we're seeing talking to investors is a bit of a mix between those who still have allocations that they didn't manage to put away in 2021. 2022 could be even stronger, and that they will look to continue their investment programme with more gusto into 2022. So I think we will continue to see that pace. The reservation being obviously in the news over the last week, the new variant with COVID and how that might impact on the ability for investors to do diligence on manager opportunities.
And in terms of the sectors, Felicity, do you see that strength you mentioned there in terms of the alternatives, logistics and residential continuing into 2022 just on that sort of resilience basis? Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, if you go back to basic economics of supply and demand, those are very much, the sectors that will continue to play on those needs of the end users and occupiers, and the way we're still seeing more kind of new businesses opening into e-commerce. We're still seeing a structural undersupply of residential. Obviously, the office market is one that everybody's closely watching to see what happens with that. I can only really talk from the strategy that the company I work for, NREP, have on that, and we're very much a serviced approach. So we are looking more at sort of flexible, making sure that the assets are located in extremely strong locations with flexibility of leases. So really playing into the sort of new businesses that want flexibility in their space. But I still think that's sort of interesting to see how that's going to play out over the longer run with people going back to work and how corporates are actually going to be using their office space. But yeah, to come back to your point, I think logistics and residential will be a theme that will continue to grow at pace.
Great. Really interesting to catch up. Thanks very much for joining us, Felicity.
Thank you.